training camp live recap. I'm just about to pull out here, but I figured I'd stick around with you guys for 15, 20. Let me take my seatbelt off. I'm not going anywhere. Figured I'd stay with you guys for 15, 20 minutes, talk about what I saw at practice today. Interesting day, no one-on-ones. Also, let me know if you can hear me, because I've got these things on. I don't know if they're working right, but yeah, no one-on-ones. They did a lot of scrimmage stuff, a ton of rotation. You probably saw a lot of tweets. I even did a few about like, whoa, this guy's with the one. Like Booth was with the ones. I saw Bullard with the ones. A lot of one-on with the ones. There's always been. And then like Chris Boyd came in with the one. Like a lot of weird people came in and played with the first team on both sides of the ball. Obviously no Kirk Cousins, so I guess let's talk about that. Apparently he wasn't feeling well. They sent him home. I didn't see anything about if he's tested positive for COVID or not. If he has, he won't make the trip to Vegas. Honestly, it doesn't really matter. He's not going to play in that game anyways. Like, there's no way they play him in that game. So whatever, like, go home, get healthy. It's a pretty, of all the time to like have a 5-day absence, it's a pretty convenient one. He'll miss this practice, an unpadded one tomorrow, and then by the time the team gets back, he'll be set to come back in. That's that. Ed Ingram took, I think, the whole day with the ones. He's coming in hot. I didn't get a great look at the O-line. I only clocked like 1 or 2 plays from any of the guys on the interior. Oh my God, the tackles though. These guys are so good. There are so many reps. There's one I was freaking out about. Christian Darrisaw on Zadarius Smith. Zadarius bull rushes him almost right off his back. Like, right off his... He had 1 foot on the ground and he was on his heel, totally off balance. And he gets that foot up, he hops, he resets, and he stonewalls him. Just unbelievable stuff from what was a really, really good bull rush from Zadarius Smith. And then on the other side, you get Danielle Hunter on Brian O'Neill, just with these absolutely lethal rips and two-hand swipes. And Brian O'Neill gets his hands out of the way, get his hand back on him. It's just a war. And the edge rushers got their own set of wins as well. These two guys going up against each other are awesome. I didn't see Asamoah rotate in with the ones at all. Who are we trading for? Yeah, there's a couple of rumors out there that they're going to trade for a backup quarterback and or a center. I think both of those things would be appropriate. I actually did an episode on this YouTube channel. It was the last one I did before I left, and there's a podcast you can listen to as well, that about panic buttons. What panic buttons should they hit? And the one I said, you could probably go out and get a center, but don't spend too much on it. It's not like the state of emergency, but backup quarterback is a state of emergency. Kellen Mond was bad again. Here's what kills me about Mond. He's got a daily snap fumble, and a lot of people say Treader. People don't want him because of his NFLPA status. I don't think so. Well, maybe, right? I wouldn't be surprised if that were the case, but he hasn't been like healthy in 3 years. Like, he can't stay healthy. He couldn't practice last year. I have to when I heard that, I was like, oh, okay, that's his last year in the league. Everybody's really asking for this guy that doesn't have knees. I don't know if nobody's giving him a physical or whatever. Maybe they know. Maybe the coaches, you ask his O-line coach, call him up and say, hey, can this dude play? And they're like, yeah, I don't know. We couldn't practice, man. But like, that's not very confusing to me. If you wanted a center, there's probably other guys out there. Jake Collins hive. But anyways, yeah, the backup quarterback situation is an emergency to me. Sean Mannion is very clearly just limited. He just doesn't have a deep ball at all. He's very safe. He'll check down everything. He's like overly safe. What about Bosman? I have not looked into Bosman, so I can't answer that. So I guess sure. I don't know who the centers that are available for trade. What you're looking for, though, if you want to look for this, and I haven't done this, but if you want to, find a rookie that's playing well. Somebody, like I saw, there was that one clip of Cam Jurgens up against Jordan Davis. I actually thought that rep looked okay for a center. But there's, like, if he's good, watch Cam Jurgens in preseason, is if people like him, then the Jags might look to offload somebody if they've got another center that maybe was going to be a veteran that could have played. That's what you're looking for. Look for a rookie that's doing well, and then suddenly a situation, we don't need, like for the Vikings, think of it as a situation like, Ty Chandler's doing really well. and Kenny Wangu's doing really well. Maybe we don't need Madison, and then he would suddenly become trade bait. That's the kind of situation you're looking for. And I think it's kind of the same with backup quarterback. Like some third-round quarterback is going it. You're way too early, Mr. Mankato pick. If one of those wide receivers makes the team, like Tristan Jackson or Myron Mitchell, I don't think it has to be a rookie, right? Booth, yeah, there's a lot of rotation. He replaced Cam Dantzler for a minute, and then Boyd came in, and then Dantzler was back with the ones later. They did a lot of that, though. A lot of guys that shouldn't be with the ones were with the ones, so I think they were just giving out opportunities. My Mr. Mankato pick, can a kicker win it? Give it to Greg Joseph. That dude is balling. He made another 60-yarder today after a terrible 2-minute possession from Kellen Mond. Kellen Mond is seeing the field very slowly. He's bailing out on a lot of pockets. He's like holding onto the ball too long, and he's missing players in the individual drills where there's no pressure, there's no corner, there's no coverage to be, just pitch and catch, and he's like missing, and he's like guys have to like stretch out for it, and then he's fumbling snaps. There's just nothing there. Yeah, trade for Taylor Heineke. I'd be all for it, and I know that would be really funny because he was here before, but there's precedent for that, right? And all the people that like didn't keep him, and when he left the Vikings, it was understandable. We didn't know if his foot was ever going to be okay. It was time for the new thing. They had a new guy in and all that stuff. I think 3 or 4 third-round picks from last year get cut, which is abysmal. Patrick Jones is probably the third best edge rusher on the team, though. So you got him, but I don't think Chaz is even close to making it. I don't think Wyatt Davis is close to making it, and cutting Mond would be aggressive. Bradley Bozeman. Yeah, sure. I know the name. I don't know anything about him. But yeah, like if they keep Mond, they're keeping it on the promise that maybe it goes a little bit better next time. Or like next year, you're keeping him on the promise of development. But right now, I don't think he's playing at even an NFL practice squad level. Like I know that sounds really harsh, and sounds like an exaggeration. But it's really, really, really disastrous. I don't know. And I just don't really know what Sean Mannion does here. But I would be really into the idea of trading for a backup quarterback. I would be very open to the idea of trading a backup center, but I would not want them to spend too much on it. Because I think the play right now, if I had to guess, 2023... Yeah, Sean's a coach. The problem with him being a coach is it pays way less. So you can't just be like, we're going to cut you and bring you to the coaching ranks. I hope you enjoy making hundreds of thousands of dollars less. Like he'll say no and go be on somebody else's practice squad. I would love to put Sean Mannion on the practice squad if he would take it though, because that'd be at least that's better than coaching money where you make $25K a year. And you can still have him in the room and stuff, and you can elevate him if something comes up and you actually need him. But I don't think he's playing at a rosterable level right now either. Like we have Kirk Cousins and nobody else should make a team. It's a really bad situation. Anyways, yeah, if you trade for, I lost my train of thought with the center thing. Sorry, I missed that. Didn't they do that to Terrence Newman? He retired and tried coaching, and then he just hated it. But he genuinely wanted to try coaching, and he was just like, I don't like the hours. This sucks. I'm doing it. Jesse Davis trying center? No. I don't think so. I like him as a backup guard. I think if Jesse Davis is your backup guard, that's fine. I think Ed Ingram's winning the job right now, but preseason will decide a lot more than what we've seen so far. But yeah, I would like... I mean, if he can take some snaps, that's fine. But I don't think we need to think that hard. Like, if you're unhappy enough with Bradbury and Chris Reed to try something else at center, I think looking outside the organization is the best bet. I think you'll get the best player that way because there will be somebody. There are a lot of interior guys in this draft. They should have drafted one. But a lot of other teams are going to have some rookie. One of those guys is going to turn out and it's going to push somebody off the roster. So I say just try to go take advantage of that situation when it comes. But this feels like a thing you should do. That you should target for cut down day. Somebody's going to be available for a conditional 7th, Brett Jones style, and like go do that. Yeah, so it was a really bad day for the offense because the quarterbacking was really bad. The tackles were awesome and the edge rushers were awesome, like the on the ones. On the twos, it was a little bit more dicey. You got kind of some wins, some really big wins, some really big losses from guys. Saw a couple good Vidarian Lowe reps. That was nice. Saw a couple good Jalen Twylan reps. That was nice. I went really hard on him on the podcast today. But how late will that be? Will they have enough time to learn the system? That's the problem. I mean, you should have drafted someone. Berserker. Is Cam Bynum winning the safety job? Yes. He did very well. He had an unbelievable play, almost had a pick six on a little keeper rollout where he jumped a flat, and he totally read it and just was like all over it. He couldn't haul it in, but he would have had 6 if he did. He's been playing really well. Cam Bynum should be your starting safety, and you'll rotate Lewis Cine in sub packages. I think that's how you start. And then if Cine starts making a lot of plays, he can maybe overcome it. But I think you got no wrong answers on that battle right now. Both Cam Bynum's playing really well. But anyways, yeah, if it's too late to do it. I did see a Caleb Evans back. I didn't see anything much I didn't clock him much. He was kind of on the other side of the field, but he did suit up. Dan Chisena is back as well. But yeah, you trade for a center, and now they'll have to learn the scheme. So what you want to do is you want to find that in a situation where somebody else is running his own scheme. Thankfully, a lot of teams are. So you're not going to have to teach him how to do a bucket step or teach him how to do the like combo blocks and stuff like that. Please, yeah, share what you want on a fan group. I would love that. Yeah. But yeah, that's where I think you have to go for center. The best player that you will be able to get at this point is not going to be some galaxy brain move Jesse Davis, suddenly Wyatt Davis can be a center or something, and we discovered that's not going to be where the best center play comes. The best center play comes from somebody else's team who has a surplus, a really deep center group, and they have to cut somebody rosterable. Kind of like where the Vikings are at wide receiver right now. I genuinely think there are 8 players who should be on a 53-man roster in that room right now. Somebody rosterable is getting cut. It might be PC Johnson, it might be Myron Mitchell or Tristan Jackson. I think both of those guys are playing at a rosterable level. You keep somebody on the practice squad, but you wouldn't be surprised if somebody picked those guys up. So if you're a team that's really, really thin at wide receiver, you should be looking at this situation with the Vikings and going, hey, I got a conditional 7th. If this guy plays more than 8 games, can we have him? And you say, yeah, sure, we'll take your 7th rounder because we were going to cut Myron Mitchell or whoever anyways. Albert Wilson is not good, I guess. I don't know. He had a decent day. Eric Kendricks had a good day. He always does. Didn't notice much at it. I was focusing on the trenches a little bit extra. Somebody like BC, I don't know about real trade value because, again, any trades happening right now are players that you plan to cut. And if you call somebody and say, hey, you want BC Johnson, that says, we're going to cut this guy. And, if you get a call saying, hey, you want to trade for this guy? I go, well, why don't I just wait for you to cut him? And the answer to that is, well, you won't have to negotiate for him then. You won't have to try to sweat out the waiver wire. Give me a conditional 7th, you can just have him. That's going to be any trade right now, unless it's somebody that's like a genuine starter, and that's not BC Johnson. I think he looks okay. Like, he's playing at a rosterable level. I think it's just a stacked group. There's just not a lot of room. You've got the top 4 are far and away better than the rest of the group. And I think, like, if you had 2 injuries in the wide receiver room, say you lost KJ and Amir Smith-Marset was wide receiver too, I honestly wouldn't sweat that much because he looks pretty good too. I think ISM looks like a more of a 3 or a 4, but if that's where you're at, 2 injuries in, that's okay. And KJ he blows me away. He looks so fast. He gets in and out of his breaks so fast. He catches everything. He had 1 drop yesterday. That's the only one I saw. I'm very excited about this wide receiver group. Just got to make sure we get Kirk Cousins back from the Mushu flu or whatever. Did Booth stand out at all? I did not look at him. Usually it's hard not to. So he's a little quieter today. But I don't think he got targeted, but I might have missed it because, my eyes are watching like one guy or another. I didn't see that much from Booth, but I'm pretty confident in my evaluation of where Booth is at, where he just is going to be this up and down guy that's way too aggressive, and it's going to get him punished sometimes, and it's going to be awesome plays sometimes. And you'd rather, the way Cameron Dantzler is playing, you'd rather put Dantzler on the field than that. But as a backup or a rotational guy, as a learning experience, that's something. As soon as he learns how to time all those aggressive pushes and moves and, really when to drive at the ball and he really gets a feel for it, then you unlock something awesome. But I think he's at like the rookie year Trevon Diggs level right now, where it's just going to be, you're going to give up a lot. And maybe if you want, you can have him start jumping a whole bunch of routes, but otherwise it's going to be a lot. Somebody asked, I missed it, if Bradbury would be okay if they don't trade for a center. He's the same guy. I've always been fine with it. Luigi Villan hasn't done much for me. I've seen him kind of get stonewalled a little bit. I don't think he's been really flashing enough to make a team. Have former Zim DBs... My answer to that is Bradbury's the same guy. However okay you were with it last year, you should be okay. Former Zim DBs like Harrison Hand and Chris Boyd. I think Chris Boyd makes the team. I do think he's like a wide receiver 6, and he'll probably make the team as a special teamer. And I think Harrison Hand could as well. But they haven't like flashed as guys that should develop or whatever. Does the D need Sue? I love the idea of signing Ndamukong Suh. That said, Arvin Watson's been playing okay in that role. But yeah, those guys haven't played well enough to like earn a starting spot or anything like that. Yeah, y'all owe Zim an apology when it comes to those third-round picks. The rookies ride the pine for a reason. You know, when rookies are good, like Darisaw, he got in. You know, and those guys are good, they'll get in. And if like Kene Nwangwu got in as a kick returner because he won a job. And if they're not good, then they'll ride the pine. Like, I think Zimmer was always really objective about that. I think he was always really like, you earn it or you didn't. And you don't get in just because I want to see what you can do. That's not a reason to put somebody in. I can see what you can do. I see you practice all day. But if you earned it, you're in. And if you didn't, you didn't. Best player plays. You know, Justin Jefferson was in week 1. And everybody freaked out about how he wasn't getting enough snaps. He didn't know the playbook. And once he knew the playbook, he got in and he was a superstar, right? You know, Cameron Dantzler got in right away, if I remember. Rookies played under Zimmer. It's just most of the Zimmer rookie thing was people forgetting that like these narratives were about like Laquan Treadwell and Drew Samia. Like the guy, they sucked. And Mond, I don't know if his body was right last year because he says he lost a bunch of weight with COVID and he never got his body right. Maybe that's an excuse. I don't know. He doesn't seem very good. He seems worse this year than he was at like camp last year. And I know that's alarming, but that's why I think like, is this a salvageable thing is my question with him. And if they think, all right, he's a catastrophe, but we think we can fix this over the course of the year, they'll keep him. But there's too many things to fix. You're not sitting there. Quarterback coach is not sitting there in the middle of a week when you've got the Packers coming to town, you know, trying to prepare for a game. You're not sitting there tweaking the QB3's mechanics. Shannon Sullivan has looked pretty good. He's good for like one flashy run stop a day. Yeah, Kendricks, Daniil Barr, they all played as rookies. Like rookies played when they're good and they didn't when they're bad. And like, do you want them to do it differently than that? I don't know. I always thought it was a really dumb thing. A lot of grass is greener. Yeah, Shannon Sullivan, I think he looks okay. He'll probably be a weak spot on that just because the rest of the corners are playing better than him, but he doesn't look like a catastrophe or anything. Right now, backup nickel would be Nate Hairston and Harrison Hand competing for it. I don't really have a great sense for which one of those guys has done better. I'm trying to think if there's any other nuggets that are worth mentioning. A lot of rotation. Oh, Jonathan Bullard had a day. Yeah, a lot of Myron Mitchell hype. I didn't notice a ton from him, but the reps were a little limited today. They didn't do a lot of one-on-ones, so you couldn't get a more holistic sense. It was a lot of scrimmage, and it was a shorter practice, and they didn't do situationals except with the threes, led by Kellen Mond. And he got about 18 yards down the field, set him up for a 60-yarder, and Greg Joseph boomed it easily in, which was awesome. I hope he's not getting. I just hope he's not getting all his good kicks out of the way before they count. You know, I hope this is just, oh wow, he's really figured something out and he's kicking it well. But I hope it's not like, you know, you get on the driving range. Sounded like you had a mouthpiece in this morning. Oh, I'm sorry. That's probably just my mic doing some weird stuff when it's unportable and it's plugged into an iPad. I'm doing my best, but you'll have to forgive the remote setup's not going to be quite as clean and dialed in. And I filter it at home. I have a couple of equalizer filters, some audio work that I do on it, but I don't have any of that stuff with me. That's all equipment that's bolted down. So, anyways, yeah, Jonathan Bullard had a pretty good day. He's been getting in a little bit with the ones. If anybody is pushing Armon Watts, it's probably him. It's not Jalen Twyman. It's not necessarily James Lynch, who I believe is still lining up at nose tackle, be like backup nose tackle kind of vibes. When do they fly Blake Bortles? Blake Bortles would genuinely be an improvement. I don't even think that's controversial to say. And Anyways, that's going to do it for this live. I will see you all in the podcast in the morning, and I got one more live tomorrow. I'll go to one more practice tomorrow. And then I won't do a live like this, but we will do a postcast on here with me and Sam Ekstrom. I'll be in Vegas, so I'll be doing that after the, probably like from the car or something, after the preseason game, maybe even from the stadium. So I will see you all then. And as always, Skol.